So everyone's talking about ChatGPT at the moment. Everywhere you look, it's been mentioned in the media, on the internet, everywhere. So I heard about programmers using it to help generate code. So as I've been tinkering with a bit of Z80, I thought I'd have a look and see how it got on with Z80 coding. So I created an account, and my first question was to ChatGPT was, do you know Z80 coding? ChatGPT came back, yes, I'm familiar with the Z80 code, and goes on to tell me a bit about the Z80. So the next piece of code I was thinking of writing in my Z80 was a scoring mechanism. I thought I'd see what GPT did with that. So I asked, can you write a score of 0 to 999,000 to the screen using Z80 code? And ChatGPT came back, sure, here's an example of how to write a score to the screen using Z80 Assembler language. So looking at the code, it does look like Z80 code. I can't see any sort of syntax errors in it. It's even got comments in it. It's quite useful. So at first glance, it looked like not bad code. And then at the end of the code, gives a bit of description. But as I was looking through the code, I realised they're using the HL register to hold the score, and the HL can only go up to 65,000, blah blah blah, and not the 999,000 that I was interested in. So I said that to ChatGPT, and it comes back, yes, you're correct. The 16-bit register can only hold values up to 65,000 and so on. So then it comes back with an improved method, and now it's using 3 bytes to hold the value. But looking at the code, it seemed like they were using one of the values but ignoring the other 2. So I say, don't see where you're printing score mid and score high. And ChatGPT apologises for the oversight and gives me some more code. This time includes reference to score low, score high, and score mid. But looking at the code, first of all, it prints out the low value, and then it prints out the mid value, and then the high value. So the score that it's outputting is the wrong way around. So I say, isn't that printing the number back to front? ChatGPT comes back, yes, you're correct. So then it comes back with some more code, but it seems that the code has actually not improved things, because it's still printing out the low value before it prints out the high value. So I point this out, and then ChatGPT comes back, I apologise for the confusion, you are correct, and it gives me a corrected piece of code. So I was curious as to what it thought the output would be from this. So it's got a low of 0, a mid of 3, and high of 15. So I ask what would be the output if you run this. And it says the output would be 15300. But looking at the code again, it seems that it's still printing out the low figure first. So what it's saying, this value of 15300 is not correct. So I'll point this out, and it apologizes for the confusion, and then gives me another version. So this version, it's got a whole bunch of ink HLs in it. When I'm looking through it, it seems to be still printing out the low values first. But the code's getting a bit confusing now. So I ask, is there a more elegant way of doing this? This is hard to read. So it comes back, yes, here is a more elegant and readable version of the code. And it does look a bit cleaner. But looking at the code now, for the high value, it's got a value of 15, and what it seems to be doing here is it works out the ASCII for the 0 character, and then it just adds on the 15 to the 0, which would give you a value which is above the allowed hex values. So I say you are adding 15 for the high score to 0, and then printing it as a single digit. This will output a non-numeric character. But in hex that might not actually be correct, because it might actually be outputting an F character for that. So what I said there might not be correct, but it does say, it goes on to say, I apologise for that mistake, you are correct, will not produce a valid digital character. And so then it gives me another set of code, and I ask, what will that output? So now it's got, in the low, it's got 0, 3, and 6 for the high. So it says, so I ask, what will that output? And it says, yeah, it'll output 603. So at this point, I said, well, I wanted my score to go up to 999,999. But the code that it's given me will actually only go up to 999. So I point this out, and then at this point ChatGPT seems to crash and throws me out, and that's the end of the conversation. So it's quite an interesting little experiment. It does seem to know the syntax for Z80 Assembler quite well, but its logic is not really there yet. But some people have said, you know, that they've been able to use it to help them build whole systems. So I don't know if the languages they've been using are actually better covered by the AI. Granted, Z80 Assembler is probably quite an obscure use for ChatGPT, but it seems at the moment your Z80 coders, it seems like their jobs are still safe, or their hobbies at least. It was quite an interesting thing to play around with. It is quite an impressive tool, and it's, you know, it's good for doing things like copywriting. But Z80 coding is probably not quite there yet. So I hope that's been interesting, and look forward to further improvements with ChatGPT and further conversations.